Family, it's me, Detroit Lenny, here with another hour, a power hour. Well, we're going to cram that power into a little bit less than an hour, but either way. Don't forget about our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. Links in the description below. Check them out. Download the app. Use the promo code. Do all the things that you're supposed to do. Power Hour is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. You guys have to like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications as always. Here's what we got on slate today. We got Craig Trapp coming in with the college football and an NFL game. Michigan at Indianapolis, Indiana. Michigan at Indy. And then Seattle at New Orleans. That's the NFL games. And we got Ross Benjamin talking some college. Colorado State at Nevada. South Carolina at Kentucky. And Colts, Broncos. And then we got Nick Parsons to round up the show going over some UNLV, San Diego, or San Jose State, I think it is. And then Clemson, Boston College, Miami, the Jets. I'm all messed up. It's like Monday part 2 for me. Craig Trapp's in the house. It's Monday part 2, Craig. That's what I'm calling today. Monday part 2.
It's after Monday Night Football, so we're recording this after Monday night, so it's anytime after Monday Night Football, like Tuesday is always a tough day for me. Even though the slate is not busy on Tuesday, usually it's just like, I slept in and I'm like trying to get
exactly. Yep. We are going to talk some Saturday college football. This team here underneath me, the people from Ann Arbor, the little kitty cats from Michigan, whatever they're called, minus 22 going into Indiana. A little bit Big Ten action over under 59. Before you break down that game, I want to remind everybody, free 7-day consensus report. All you got to do is text your name to 614-810-7522, and Craig will text you back the 7-day link to the consensus report. And
maybe not also, me personally, but
it's him.
One of my cronies.
One of his am I one of them cronies?
No,
I always wanted to be a crony. Talk to me about this game, sir. Michigan, Indiana.
Well, Michigan in the top 5 now. I mean, I did not think we would see this Michigan team after last year, what happened to in the bowl game. They lost a lot on defense. I did not think we'd see them at 5-0, dominating fashion, 3-2 against the spread, headed to Indiana, which Indiana, 3-2 on the year. They are undefeated at home, but they're just 1-4 against the spread, Lenny. So I know you're not a big fan of teams that are taking on your rival, the Wolverines, but let's be honest. The state of Michigan right now is going through Michigan. Michigan State is down this year. Michigan is, we'll find out if they're for real here in the next few weeks as they start to play some tougher competition. I don't think Indiana is going to beat them, but when you're getting 22 points, you don't have to beat them. You just have to keep it within 3 touchdowns. I mean, that sounds like a doable event. When you look at Michigan's schedule and what they've played so far, it's kind of been a little cupcake. This continues here. They got, maybe looking ahead here. I think you just have to take the points here. Indiana's not been that bad. At Cincinnati, they got down big in the first half. They still fought the second half. I watched a lot of that game. I also watched the Illinois game early in the year. They beat an Illinois team. That Illinois team just went to Wisconsin and won, even though Wisconsin's not great. So I think this Indiana team's better than that 1-4 against the spread record. That's for sure. So I think if you're playing the side here, which I am, I'm taking Indiana plus the points. I don't know. Do you have a feeling on this total? I mean, this Michigan team, you don't think of as a high-scoring team, but they seem to get these really long runs.
I like it actually under here. I think this game is very similar to last week's Michigan game against Iowa. Iowa better defense than Indiana has, but I think I need 14 points out of Indiana to cover this 22 is my opinion. I think Michigan could get into the 30s, but not by much, 31, 28, something like that is what they score. So, I think 23 touchdowns is too much. Michigan's not going to I do think now they're going to start playing some bigger schools, more tough competition. It's going to be a little bit closer. Yeah. I'm never, ever going to back these people from Ann Arbor, Michigan. So I'm
going to take your heart out of this one.
There's one time that I bet Michigan, and that's when they play Ohio State. That's it. And I lose that bet every year. So that's as far as
I think Indiana keeps it close. I kind of think the under here. Because I
like the under a lot.
Because if Michigan does get up big, which I kind of think, into that, 17, 20 point range,
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be like, hey, we got to run this score up. They're thinking, well, let's get bigger fish to fry down the road. Let's just get out of here healthy. So I'm taking the under, but the better play, Hoosiers plus 22.
I would take both. I'll be honest with you. I don't hate this in a teaser. I do a lot of teasers. I know some people on the show hate teasers, but I would take Indiana on a 6-point teaser to 28 and then under 65 or something.
Here's a little tidbit from us pros.
Oh,
if
boy.
you're going to tease it, do not tease it to 28. Tease it to 28.5. Do the 6.5.
Oh, 6.5. Yes, 100%. Get your right number. Get the right number there.
Yeah, you don't want to end up on 28 and then you lose on it.
Then you're bad. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Pick some parlay power hours here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going to move into the NFL. We got a little NFL matchup here for you. Sunday football, Seahawks, Saints. Saints, this is a weird number, 5.5, over under 46. Don't forget, guys, real quick, free 7-day consensus. It's free. It's free. All you have to do is text your full name to 614-810-7522. It's free. Okay? And then Craig Trapper, one of his chromies, will send you something back. Seahawks, Saints, 5.5, 46. Don't believe the hype on Seattle. Craig, I don't even know why you picked this game to go over. Seattle is not what they were last week.
Well, I didn't say over.
Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, you mean to go
before you go over the game? Yeah.
Well, because sometimes the ugliest games are the ones that you have the best edge. The ones that get the most play have the sharpest numbers. You know, the Monday night football, the Thursday night football, the Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday. So those three get the highest. And then whatever the best game on the board. Last week, the Bills-Ravens got tons of action because a lot of people were interested in that game. I don't think, unless you're a Seahawks or Saints fan, I don't think you're going to be tuning into this game. You better have the Sunday ticket. Let's just say this one's not going to be on your national television unless you're living in these cities. So this is a New Orleans team, that tough spot. Because remember, it used to be when you played in London, the next week was your bye week. But now so many teams are playing in London, that's not a guarantee anymore. So tough spot for the Saints travel. Also tough spot for the Seahawks. They went to Detroit, back home. Now they're going to New Orleans and playing early. So this is a spot that, you know, as far as travel, both these teams are going to be a little weary in my estimation. And a really banged up Saints team, including obviously Winston. It was out last week. Andy Dalton stepped in. He actually wasn't terrible. I mean, he
Red Rocket came to play last week.
As a Bengals fan, you know, I've seen a lot of Andy Dalton. He's a guy that can keep you in games. Red Rifle, but he keeps you in games, but he's not a guy that you probably is going to win you the game. But this defense was supposed to be really good. It has not been as good as people expected. And then the Seahawks, I thought the Seahawks were going to be terrible. I'm going to be honest this year. I thought Seahawks might get 2 to 4 wins. They've got 2 already. I mean, granted, they beat Denver, which was a huge, get up the first week when they had Russell Wilson coming back in. And they also beat, your Detroit Lions with your top 2 receivers out, top running back out, the worst defense in the league, allowing 35 points a game. But, Seattle, they could have won that game at home against Atlanta, lost 27-23. It's a team they've scored 48, 23, 7, and 17. So their offense is better than I thought it would be. I think this is a game, 5.5 is too many. This is not a New Orleans team until they get healthy and figure it out on offense. It's not a team that's scoring. I don't think the Saints team scoring more than 23 to 24 points very easily, unless their defense scores some points. So to me, on the year, they scored 27 against Atlanta, which is a bad defense, 10 against Tampa Bay, 14 against a bad Carolina team, and then 25 last week in that comeback in London. So to me, I think this is just too many points. I think you take the Seahawks here plus the 5.5. I think this is a Seahawks team that they can run the ball. When you can run the ball so you can play action, that makes your quarterback that much better. They have great receivers on the outside as well. So it's just like Geno Smith, just don't throw it to the other team. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win some games this year. I like the 5.5. I thought New Orleans was a team that could beat Tampa Bay, or at least at least give them some trouble. I don't believe in this New Orleans team at this point.
Yeah, I don't want nothing. Personally, I don't. This is a nasty game. This is just bad, man. You got New Orleans coming back from London in a not a bye week where they should have been in a bye week. Then you got Seattle coming off. Arguably, it's going to be their best performance offensively for the rest of the
Probably.
year against the worst defense in the league. But
Lenny, someone told me about this a long time ago. A pro, and I won't even mention his name because some people, he's a polarizing figure. Let's just say that. But he said, go bet the ugliest game on the board, the game that doesn't make any sense, and you take the underdog. And this would fall in that category where you take the ugliest game nobody's wanting to watch. And it's an odd number. You said it opening up 5.5. It's not 6. It's not 3. It's not 3.5.
Fives.
It's like they're begging you. They're begging you to take the Seahawks. I'm going to do just that. I think there's going to be lots of action because the Saints. Everybody's going to say, "Hey, the Saints are better than what the record is." Blah blah blah. No, they're not. Not with that banged up with an issue at quarterback. So take the Seahawks plus 5.5.
That's fair. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. As always, Picks and Parlay Power Hours here.
Do this.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. What are you doing right now?
I was this and I went.
No, do this. Thumbs up, like button, ring the bell for notifications. You'll never miss any of our free content. Picks and Parlay Power Hours here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Craig Trapp, I'm going to kick you on out of here. We're going to bring in the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Ross Benjamin. Who, Ross? You got a slate. You got a couple college games that I'm interested in hearing about. Especially this game. This is a Friday Night Lights action game, Ross.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good start to the football season, especially the NFL. So looking forward to going over these 3 games with you.
Yeah, let's go after it. Colorado State travels to the Wolfpack in Nevada. Nevada minus 3.5, over under 44 here. Before you break down this game, I got to remind everybody, if you text this number, 614-810-7522, text your name, 7-day consensus report from Picks and Parlays. That's all you got to do is text your name. That's all you got to do. All right, Ross, talk to me about this game.
Yeah, before we go over this game, I also have something to add. Both of these teams stink.
Yeah, facts. Speaking of ugly games,
and it's a matter of taking a lesser. Yeah, it's a matter of taking the lesser of 2 evils, Lenny. So here's Colorado State. They stink more. They're 0-4 straight up in ATS this year. They've lost those 4 games by an average of 30.3 points per game. They're getting outgained by 172 yards per game. And their last loss, this typifies how bad they are. Their last loss came at home last Saturday against Sacramento State. Sacramento State.
Powerhouse of Sacramento State.
Yes, it is. You're exactly right, Lenny. Maybe at the FCS level, because that's where they play. In any event, they lost that game 41-10 at home. And what's the odds makers think of this Colorado State Rams team? Last week against an FCS team, they were a home underdog of plus 3.5, and they got absolutely crucified. Nevada, well, like my father used to say, they're no bargain either. Yeah, they won their first 2 games over lackluster competition of New Mexico State and Texas State. Since then, they're 0-3 straight up in ATS. All 3 of those losses came by 14 plus points. The last 2 coming on the road at Air Force in Iowa. You can make a case maybe they played a little bit tougher of a schedule. In any event, I got a college football betting angle. That's the way I settled this. Anytime you have a college football home favorite of 14 or less, like the Nevada Wolfpack are in this game, and they're coming off back-to-back road losses. Remember, I mentioned they're coming off losses at Air Force and at Iowa in their last 2 games. And those losses came by 10 or more points on each occasion. And they're facing an opponent coming off a loss by 28 points or more, like Colorado State is, losing 41-10 last week. Those college football home favorites of 14 or less, Lenny, have gone 13-1 against the spread and 14-0 straight up since 2013. Those 14 games, the average line for the home favorite was minus 6.4, and they won those contests by an average of 17.3 points per game. I'm going to hold my nose here and take the Nevada Wolfpack minus 3.5 over Colorado State.
Well, I'll tell you what, it ain't pretty, but she might not be the prettiest one at the dance, but damn it, that's our pick. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one I'm leaving with.
That's the one I'm leaving with. All right. Wolfpack -3. I do think it's a get right spot for them. 2 road games, bad losses on the road. They come home. They're playing arguably one of the worst teams in college football, period, in the Colorado State Rams. I think they cover. And do you have a play? Did you think about a total on this? I know it's kind of lower, 44 it is. Yeah. My thoughts when you get 2 crappy teams, I kind of like the over because there's mistakes and nobody could tackle. I do like the over as well as a side note. But like I said, she ain't pretty, but
just based on the fact that Colorado State gave up 41 against an FCS team last week. The problem is with the over is I just don't know if Colorado State is going to help us out in that regard because they're so anemic offensively.
Fair enough. I like it. We're going to take the Wolfpack -3.5. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell for notification. We're going to move right into another college football game. This one's on Saturday, South Carolina at Kentucky. Kentucky's -10.5 here, over under 49.5. Ross, is Kentucky legit?
Well, they are. And they are coming off their first loss of the year. And I personally think laying the 10.5 against a conference opponent that's not great, but not bad either in South Carolina, it's a vulnerable spot for them. And hear me out on this, Lenny. I mean, again, 22-19 tough loss on the road at Ole Miss last week. And Ole Miss currently, by the way, folks, is ranked number 9 in the country. Up next after this game, they take on number 23 Mississippi State. In between, they get South Carolina, an unranked team at home. This is also a South Carolina team that's lost their first 2 games in conference this year. And I just think it's a vulnerable spot. I just don't think that Kentucky, I can't see them matching the intensity they showed last week on the road against Ole Miss. And also with that, another big game on deck against another ranked opponent. This looks to me like it might be a potential flat spot for the Kentucky Wildcats. Okay. On the other hand, South Carolina, they're 0-2 in conference, but they're coming off back-to-back wins, albeit against not so good competition. South Carolina State last week, 50-10. Charlotte 2 weeks ago, 56-20. But they've shown some offensive spark, and that does a lot of good for their confidence. You know, Lenny, since 1980, college football away teams that have a less than 700 win percentage, like South Carolina, and they're playing after game 4 of the season, and they're coming off a win by 39 points or more, and they're facing a foe coming off a straight-up loss. But that foe lost the game straight up. It covered as an underdog, like Kentucky did last week. They were a +6 dog on the road. They only lost by 3. Well, since 1980, those college football away teams 14-0 straight up in ATS. It's plus 16.9 points per game. And not only that, 14-0 straight up in ATS. 5 of those times they were underdogs, and they still went 5-0 straight up in ATS. So I'm going to take a shot here, Lenny. Not one of my favorite games on the board by any stretch of the imagination. But given I need to make an opinion on this game, I think I got a pretty decent one on South Carolina here, plus 10.5 at Kentucky.
I think this is going to be a barn burner here a little bit. I don't want to say barn burner like a high-scoring event. I'm just saying it's going to be a dogfight here. Yeah. They're going to go back and forth. I do think Kentucky wins, but I don't know if they cover. I don't know if that 10.5, the hook kind of bothers me there. So I like the South Carolina plus 10.5 there. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Power Hours here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We got an NFL game to go into. We got Thursday Night Football, Ross.
All right.
Colts, Broncos minus 3.5, over under 4, a dismal 43.5. Guys, don't forget, 7-day consensus report. All you got to do is text 614-810-7522. Talk to me about this Thursday night NFL matchup.
Well, let's start with this. Indianapolis, they're off to a 1-3 start, but remember this: under Frank Reich, this is a team that's gone 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games as an away underdog, and all of those occurred since last year. And not only they went 5-0 ATS in those games, they also won 4 of the 5 straight up as an underdog. On the other hand, Denver, since 11-4 of 2018, 1-6 straight up in ATS is a home favorite of 3.5 or less. And additionally, since November 19th, 2017, Denver is 0-5 straight up in ATS as a home favorite of -3.5 or less when coming off a straight up loss, which they're coming off that loss against Las Vegas last week, 32-23. You know, Lenny, I've been saying this from the beginning. This is an overhyped Denver team. They have been from the beginning. Russell Wilson's quickly finding out he doesn't have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf to throw to anymore. And Indianapolis, in my estimation, is a much better team than their 1-3 record is showing so far. This is a game I thoroughly believe that Indianapolis will finally get the running game going. And I say that why? Because Jonathan Taylor's coming off an awful game last week against Tennessee. And this is a Denver defense that allowed 212 yards on the ground last week in their loss at Las Vegas. Also, Lenny, Denver, 16.5 points per game so far this season. And so much for Russell Wilson, right? And the Indianapolis defense, even though they're 1-3, it's not because of their defense. Their defense is allowing folks just 297 yards per game. I'm going to take Indianapolis here plus the 3. Wouldn't shock me if they win the game outright. Obviously, at 3, you hope that's the case, but I'm not going to get greedy. I'll take the 3 here on the road at Denver.
Yeah, I'm always going to take the points in these kind of matchups. I do, and I love the under too. I can't say that enough. Primetime unders are hitting like something like 64% or something like that. But both of these offenses are still trying to figure themselves out. I think Indianapolis just needs to remember how much they can run the ball and let Jonathan Taylor go. And I think this game comes down to who has the ball last. And if you're going to give me 3 and a hook, I'm going to take the hook. So good job, Ross. I appreciate you, man. Always a great time on the Power Hour with you. Don't forget, like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Picks and Parlay Power Hours here is Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Ross, we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, thank you, Lenny. Don't forget, folks, 17-9 to start the year in the NFL. Check me out.
Check them out. All right, guys. Don't forget, we still got some bangers here for you. We still got UNLV at San Jose State. We still got Clemson at Boston College to go over. And we still got Dolphins Jets action. With me now, we're going to bring in Nick Parsons from the Insiders Room. How we doing, Mr. Parsons? What's going on?
Yeah, not much. Doing great. After a slow start to the college football, I've caught fire here over the last 2 weeks. I've gone 71%. I'm now back to 500. So this is the time of year when my systems really kick in. And so definitely looking forward to breaking this one down with you.
I think that sometimes, first couple weeks of any season, really, you're just kind of feeling your way out and getting a feel of what teams, what their identities are, what we thought they were going to be, as opposed to maybe what they are, or where we way wrong, or where we way right, or maybe we adjust. We adjust. We as handicappers, we adjust just like these coaches do at halftime. So, talk to me about this matchup though. Friday Night Lights, UNLV. We touch base a little bit on this. UNLV at San Jose State. San Jose State -7. It's a straight up touchdown. Over unders 53 here. Before you break down this game, I got to remind everybody: free consensus report. 7 days of consensus report. All you have to do is text your full name to 614-810-7522. And then Craig Trapp or one of his cronies text you the consensus report back. Talk to me about this game.
Well, yeah, Craig and Ross were talking about a couple of some really bad teams, but these are actually a couple of really good teams, I guess, surprisingly. Yeah, UNLV is 4-1 straight up. It's also 4-1 against the spread. San Jose State, it's 3-1 straight up and 3-1 against the spread. UNLV comes in riding a 3-game win streak. The Rebels have won 6 of their last 8 on the road as well. And yeah, it's been great quarterback play from Doug Brumfield. He has over 1,200 yards passing, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's been great. And the ground game has also been great for UNLV. They've been averaging 168.6 yards per game. That's led by Aiden Robbins. He has 506 rushing yards and already 8 touchdowns. And they've also been really good defensively. I'd say like really, really good. Quite good considering they're allowing an average of only 356.6 yards per game, 22.4 points per game. But yeah, we were talking a little bit about this before. We were kind of a little bit surprised here that UNLV was such a big dog here because, yeah, definitely the odds makers are predicting that the Rebels will have their hands full here against San Jose State because they are the touchdown favorite here. San Jose State has won 5 of its last 8 at home. Chevin Cordero, he's been efficient so far. He has over 1,000 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But the ground game hasn't been nearly as effective. They've only been averaging 93.3 yards per game. But the Spartans, they've been getting the job done defensively. They've been even better. They're allowing only 15.8 points per game. San Jose State did go toe-to-toe with Auburn. The Spartans are playing well overall this season. But one thing is that they have had difficulties finishing drives at times. And now, they're facing this Rebels offense that's firing on all cylinders. This is a top 30 offense in the nation. The Rebels, they're also 7-2-1 against the spread, Lenny, in their last 10 road games. And, I think we could argue that they are the better team here. And so, yeah, I'm going to suggest grabbing the points here with UNLV on Friday night.
I love this. I'll be honest with you, when I typed this game up and I saw we were doing this game, I put UNLV -7. And you know that when we go over all the graphics and stuff, make sure I don't, have vice versa. We're at the wrong time, and I was wrong. And I think San Jose State is good. I do think they're a good team, but UNLV, I just think they're on a different talent level, and they are riding a wave that's really high. It's going to be a tough place though, go into San Jose on the road, but I wouldn't be opposed to a little sprinkle on UNLV. Just straight up on the money line, but I'm going to take those points as well. I'm all about that. Good breakdown, by the way, because I love when you guys are thinking the same thing that I am. Makes me feel good. Don't forget, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Power Hour is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We also got another college game for you here on Saturday. Clemson -20.5 at Boston College. Over-under is 48.5. Break down this for me. Tell me, is Clemson, are they 3 touchdowns better than Boston College?
Well, Clemson is 5-0 straight up, but it's only 2-3 against the spread. Boston College is only 2-3 straight up and only 1-4 against the spread. So the first thing, I think when I look at this game, the contrarian comes out in me immediately, and I'm thinking like the home dog sort of.
Right.
But Clemson comes in off the 30-20 win over North Carolina State, and they got really good quarterback play this year from DJ Uiagalelei. He has last week he had 209 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's a real X factor, I think. Previous to that, the Tigers they held on for the 51-45 overtime win over Wake Forest. So they come in here battle tested at 5-0, Lenny. Now, Boston College, it did recover from a 44-14 loss to Florida State. It beat Louisville 34-33 last Saturday. Phil Jurkovich, he finished with 304 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was a difference maker last week because the Eagles, they actually committed 13 penalties. They also had 3 turnovers. It was a miraculous come from behind victory there. What else could you call it? So, this is one of those games which I wouldn't normally touch when these spreads are so large, but I'm leaning heavily here to Clemson, laying the points. For the, Clemson, they put up a really impressive effort there against NC State. They held NC State to under 350 total yards of offense and just 20 first downs. Yeah, so I think you could definitely take a second look, laying those points and go with Clemson.
Yeah, I just think It's like boxing matches, right? It's a different weight class here. I don't care where they're playing. It's just a different weight class. Clemson, number 5 ranked in the country. I think they can possibly squeak in. I think they're better than Michigan, who's ranked higher than them. So I'm really high on Clemson. And Boston College, I don't think, just don't think they're going to keep it remotely close. So, guys, don't forget, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Power Hours here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Now we got some NFL matchup. Sunday, Dolphins, red hot Dolphins. They're just good. Dolphins -3 at the Jets with Zach Wilson back at the helm. Over unders 44.5. Nick Parsons, before you break this down, don't forget, guys, free 7-day consensus reports. All you got to do is text your name to 614-810-7522. Talk to me about some NFL, Nick.
Yeah, Miami 3-1 straight up and 3-1 against the spread. The Jets, they're 2-2 straight up, 2-2 against the spread. So of course the big news in this game is that Tua's out for the Dolphins. Then so that means Teddy Bridgewater takes over. Now Bridgewater is a great backup quarterback, and he'll have a chance to prove that this week.
Right.
But Miami has actually lost 5 of its last 8 on the road. Bridgewater, he comes in having thrown 193 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception on the season, and he has still plenty of weapons around him. Of course, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they've combined for 858 receiving yards and 5 touchdowns. The ground game, though, has definitely been lacking for Miami this season. They're averaging just 69.3 yards per game on the ground. But the Dolphins, they've been good defensively. They allow 403 yards and 22.8 points per game. So, Bridgewater and the Dolphins, Lenny, they're now a favorite here on the road against a Jets team that's coming off an impressive 24-20 road win over the Steelers. You mentioned Zach Wilson is back. He returned from injury. He finished with 252 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. But I think Wilson can sort of settle down here at home, and I think he'll be better having had that one sort of awkward game under his belt there, and
Right.
that one's out of the way. So, yeah, I guess, the Jets don't really have a home field advantage or anything. They've lost 7 of their last 8 in New York. But regardless, I think everyone can agree that New York does definitely look better than it does last year in every aspect. The ground game is averaging 87.5 yards per game. The defense is only allowing 326.5 yards per game, but allowing 25.3 points per game. Funny enough, we're talking about ugly games and different things. I mean, Miami has so much attention to it, but without Tua in there, it's going to have a little bit less attention. But this is a critical early season divisional matchup. Divisional matchups are always the most important, and they almost always mean the most to the home side. If the Jets do win today, then they would be tied with the Dolphins at 3-2, just a game behind the Bills for the division lead. And so, for me, I'm going to grab the points. I like New York here. I like New York at home. Without Tua in the lineup, the Dolphins do have to make a lot of adjustments. I just think it's asking too much on, and I just think New York can take advantage of that. So I'm going to suggest grabbing those points.
I'll tell you what. I think Teddy Bridgewater looked good when he came in for Tua last week. He did look good. And Zach Wilson looked like he had some rust on him. He looked like he was just coming back from an injury. So I think he dusted off more of that rust, I should say. And I think he gets it done here. I think this is a close game, though. And if you're going to give me the home dog with points, I'm going to take it. So good job there, Nick Parsons. Jets +3. That's our pick. Don't forget, like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications. Power Hours here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Until then, good luck, unless you're against us. Take care, guys.